The Girl Who Can by Emma Atta Aidu. They say I was born in Hazardzi, and it is a very big village in the central region of Ghana. I was born in Hazardzi. It is a very big village in the central region of Ghana. They also say that when all of Africa is choking under a drought, Hazardzi lies in a very fertile lowland in a district known for its good soil. Maybe that is why anytime I don't finish eating my food, Nana says, "You at Joa, you don't know what life is about. You don't know what problems there are in this life." So they say I was born in Hazardzi, and it is a very big village in the central region of Ghana. The narrator begins indirectly by saying they say. She repeats what others say about her. Hazardzi is introduced as her birthplace, calling it a very big village in the central region of Ghana. It geographically suggests locates its geographical and locates it geographically and suggests community importance. The phrase they say already hints at a story told through community voices rather than narrators' only direct facts. The story is told through community voices. Community suggests community importance. We come to know in the first stanza, we come to know about the geographical location of the story, and we also come to know that we are introduced to another character named Nana, the narrator's grandmother, and we find that the grandmother scolds the 7-year-old girl for wasting food. Why she chides her, why she rebukes her, why she uh, reproaches, why she shows admonition, why? Why she shows condemnation, why she chastises her? Because she wastes whenever she wastes food. They also, because the rest of Africa suffers from drought and famine conditions. Certain geographical conditions prevail in the rest of Africa. Africa is drought and famine stricken. So there is dearth of food in many places, dearth of food grains in many places. But this Ghana is known for its fertile soil. So the confirms the national setting, the geographical setting of the place. They also say continues the communal viewpoint. The phrase where all of Africa is choking uses strong imagery to suggest continent-wide hardship, a dramatic way to introduce conditions that affect the village. Now the line contrasts the earlier harsh image. Even though Africa may suffer drought, Hazardzi is fertile. So juxtaposition of two contrasting geographical conditions. One, the entire Africa is Africa suffers from drought and famine, whereas this particular place, Hazardzi of Ghana, it does not suffer from drought and famine. It is a very fertile lowland known for its good soil. Fertile lowland and a district known for suggests reputation and regional identity. Next, it's good soil. Maybe that is why anytime I don't finish eating my food, Nana chides her. Nana chastises her. Chastise means to criticize somebody. Nana shows condemnation towards her. Condemnation means disapproval. Nana continuously reproaches her. Reproach means reprimand. A firm warning or reprimand. Admonition means a firm warning or reprimand. Advice with a hint of scolding. It is a good soil. Maybe that is why anytime I don't finish eating my food, Nana, it's a good soil. It's good soil. Finishes the thought about fertility. That narrator offers a speculative connection. Maybe that is why. Why is emphasized because the land is good. Elders are particularly strict about wasting food. We meet Nana here, who reacts when the narrator doesn't finish food. She says at Joa, you don't know what life is about. You don't know what are the problems there are in this life. From Nana, quotation from Nana chastising the narrator, Nana's words are blunt. She tells Adjoa that she is ignorant about the hardships of life and she shows condemnation. Condemnation means disapproval. What against traces Nana's scolding tone? Capitalized what against traces Nana's scolding tone? ये जो what problems there are in this life. Next, problems are continuation on Nana's reproach. Reproach মানে reprimand. কোনো কিছু caution করা, তিরস্কার করা. Nana is emphasizing that Adjoa doesn't appreciate or understand life's problems. The sentence frames the household as one where admonition and moral lessons are often given. Next, as far as next stanza, moving on to the next stanza, as far as I could see, there was only one problem. And it had nothing to do with what I knew Nana considered as problems or what mommy thinks of as the problem. Mommy is my mother, Nana is my grandmother's mother, and they say I am 7 years old, and my problem is that at the 7 years of age, there are things I can think in my head, but which maybe I do not have the proper language to speak them out. And that I think is a very serious problem because it is always to decide whether to keep quiet and not say any of the things that come into my head or say them and get laughed at. Not that it is easy to get any to listen to you even when you decide to take the risk and say something serious to them. Next stanza, the narrator speaking from her perspective narrows the conflict. She perceives only one real problem. And importantly, it is not what the elders label as the problems. This sets up a contrast between the adult view and a child's inner concern. Mane, the problem which Adjua feels, those problems are not the problem. Mane, according to the point of view of the adults, the problems which the 7-year-old girl faces, the same problems they don't face. They don't label those problems to be those. The elders don't label what she considers to be a problem. The elders don't label those as the problems within single inverted comma. This sets up a contrast between the adult point of view and the child's inner concern. Next, now let us come to know what, according to her, are the actual problems. What I know Nana considered as problems, or what mommy thinks of as Nana as what mommy thinks of as the problem. They are not the similar ones. Okay. Now, mommy is my mother. Nana and mommy have their own list of problems. The narrator distinguishes her own worry from the adult's categories. Nana and mommy have their own list of problems. The narrator distinguishes her own worry from the adult's categories. Quotation marks show the narrator is repeating how adults label things. The narrator Nana and mommy have their own list of problems. The narrator distinguishes her own worry from the adults' categories. Quotation marks show the narrator is repeating how adults label things. Next, Mommy is my mother, Nana is my mother's mother, and they see I clarifies relationships for readers who may not know the words mommy, mane mother, Nana, mane grandmother, and they say I returns to their voice. The narrator repeats village or family talk about her, means community voice. Then I am 7 years old, and my problem is that at this 7 years of age, there are things I can think in my head, but which maybe I do not have the proper language to speak them out. So, this is her actual problem. She admits that she has thoughts, but perhaps lacks words to express them. এটা কিন্তু important, মনে রাখতে হবে. She admits that the 7-year-old girl admits that the narrator is a 7-year-old girl who admits that she states that at her this age she has a specific problem. She admits that she has thoughts but perhaps lacks words to express them. Capitalized which in that text underlines the childlike phrasing. The line emphasizes the internal thoughts versus external expression. She admits she has thoughts but perhaps lacks words to express them. Which in that text underlines the childlike phrasing. The line emphasizes internal thought versus external expression. She admits that she has thoughts which she thinks in her head but perhaps lacks words to express them. Capitalized which in that text underlines the childlike phrasing. The line emphasizes it দরকার নেই. Internal thoughts versus external expressions. Next, language to speak them out with. And that I think is a very serious problem. The narrator lacks the vocabulary or confidence to put thoughts into language. She calls this inability a very serious problem. Serious because it affects self expression and being heard. She language to speak them out with means the narrator lacks vocabulary or confidence to put thoughts into language. So she calls this inability a very serious problem. Serious because it affects self-expression and clarity. Because it is always to decide whether to keep quiet and not to say any of the এই যো এইখানটা বলছে না, it is decide whether to keep quiet and not to say any of the things that come into my head or say them and get laughed at. Not that it is easy to get any to listen to you even when you decide to take the risk and say something serious to them. She explains the dilemma, the constant decision, stay silent or speak up. She explains the dilemma. The phrase it is always to decide captures the ongoing nature of the choice. So the child always remains in dilemma whether she should express herself or she should refrain from doing it. The choice is between silence and the risk of being ridiculed. The choice is between being silent and by remaining in silence and the risk of being ridiculed. The fear of being laughed at is deterrent to speaking. Deterrent to speaking মানে DETERRENT. Deterrent to speaking মানে something that stops us doing something. Laughed at is the deterrent to speaking মানে the fear of being laughed at. The fear of being laughed at কি, যে স্পিকিং কে বন্ধ করে দিচ্ছে, নির্বাক করে দিচ্ছে. Next, easy to get into listen to you when you decide to take the risk and say even if she decides to speak adults may not listen. highlighting a power imbalance. Adults control attention, and children's voice are usually easily ignored. Power of authority. Always the elders have the habit of showing authority. Elders have the habit of showing authority. And so the child remains in dilemma whether she should express herself or she should refrain from doing it. Children's voice are easily ignored. They are being laughed at, ridiculed. Then completes something serious to them. আচ্ছা, completes the sentence. Even important remarks can be dismissed by adults. এই যে বলছে যে important remarks ও কখনো কখনো can be dismissed by adults, reinforcing her isolation and the seriousness of her problem. So she tells the readers, she expresses her thought by telling that even important remarks may be dismissed by adults, reinforcing her isolation and seriousness of her problem. Next, now moving on to the next stanza, the third stanza, third paragraph, sorry, third paragraph. Take Nana first. I have to struggle to catch her attention. Then I tell her something I had taken a long time to figure out. And then you know what always happens? She would at once stop whatever she is doing and, mouth open, stare at me for a very long time. Then bending and turning her head slightly so that one ear comes down towards me, she will say in that voice, Adjua, you say what? After I have repeated whatever I had said, she would either still in that voice ask me, never, never, but never to repeat that, or she would immediately burst out laughing. She would laugh and laugh until tears ran down her cheeks, and she would stop whatever she is doing and wipe away the tears with the hanging edges of her cloth, and when she would continue laughing until she is completely tired. But then, as soon as another person passes by, just to make sure she doesn't forget whatever it was I had said, but then, as soon as another person passes by, just to make sure she doesn't forget whatever it was I had said, she would repeat it to her. And then, of course, there would be two old people laughing and screaming with tears running down her faces. Sometimes this show continues until there are three, four, or even more of such laughing and screaming, tear faced grown ups. And all that performance for whatever I had said, I find something quite confusing in all this. That is, no one ever explains to me why sometimes I shouldn't repeat some things I say, while at other times some things I would say would not be all right but would be considered so funny they would be repeated so many times for so many people's enjoyment. You see how neither way of hearing me out can encourage me to express my thoughts too often. And then বলছে যে take Nana first. The emphasizes take Nana first. I have to struggle to catch her attention. Then I then tell her something I had taken a long time to figure out. Emphasizes the value of what she wants to say. She worked to understand it. Taken a long time to figure out. Mane, she took a very long time to understand it. She worked upon it to understand. So her frustration at not being taken seriously is justified. So her frustration at not being taken seriously is justified. And then you know what always happens. Now she tells what actually happens. She would at once stop whatever she is doing and mouth open stare at me for a very long time. She would at once stop whatever she is doing and mouth open stare at me for a very long time. Mane, the narrator sets up the predictable adult response. Sets up the predictable adult response of Nana. Nana stops suddenly, displays exaggerated attention by opening the mouth wide open. কি করছে ও? Displays exaggerated attention by keeping the mouth wide open. A theatrical reaction that may not be sincere. Although the displays exaggerated attention, a theatrical reaction that may not be sincere. Next, stare at me for a very long time, then bending and turning her head slightly, so that one ear comes down towards me. She'll say in that voice, Adjoa, you say what after I have repeated whatever I had said? She would either still in that voice ask me, never, never, but never to repeat that, or she would immediately burst out laughing. তাহলে stare at me for a very long time, then bending and turning her head slightly. Uh, Bending and turning so that one ear comes down towards me, she'll say in that voice, Adjoa, you say what? মানে নানা's reaction becomes physical spectacle. একটা দেখবার মতো জিনিস হয়ে উঠছে, long stare, then a movement that dramatizes listening, but the capitalization very accentuates the over the top nature of her response. মানে কি বলতে চাইছে, ডিসপ্লেস তাহলে মাউথ ওয়াইড ওপেনটা হচ্ছে ডিসপ্লেস এক্সাজারেটেড অ্যাটেনশন, আ থিয়েট্রিক্যাল রিয়াকশন দ্যাট মে নট বি সিনসিয়ার। তারপর কি করছে, নানাজ রিয়াকশন বিকেমস ফিজিক্যাল স্পেকটাকল কেন, লং স্টেয়ার, দেন দ্য মুভমেন্ট দ্যাট ড্রামাটাইজেস লিসনিং, বাট দ্য ক্যাপিটালাইজেশন ভেরি অ্যাকসেন্চুয়েটস দ্য ওভার দ্য টপ নেচার অফ আর রেসপন্স। ওভার দ্য টপ নেচার মানে বাড়াবাড়ি একটা স্বভাবের থেকে বোঝা গেল। তাহলে ওভার দ্য টপ, এই যে ভেরি ক্যাপিটালাইজেশন অফ ভেরি accentuates the over the top nature of our response. Over the top nature মানে something describes over the top, কথাটার মানে হচ্ছে সামথিং এক্সেসিভলি এক্সাজারেটেড বিয়ন্ড হোয়াট ইজ কনসিডার্ড নর্মাল, অ্যাপ্রোপ্রিয়েট অ্যান্ড নেসেসারি। একেবারে বাড়াবাড়ি একটা কিছু, ভেরি, এই যে নানা's reaction is becomes a physical spectacle, long stare, then the movement that dramatizes, then what she does, turns her head slightly, bends and turns her head slightly so that one ear comes down towards her. This is over the top nature of her response, over the top expression, long stare, then mouth wide open, displays exaggerated attention, a theatrical reaction which may not be sincere. So that Nana pretends to lean in so that she can hear one ear down. এই যে Nana pretends to lean so that she could hear every word of Adjoa and give importance to her. But this becomes a theatrical reaction lacking sincerity and uses familiar pointed voice to address the child, again a performance more than real listening. রিয়েল লিসনিং এর বদলে এটা একটা পারফরমেন্স হয়ে উঠছে। Say what after I have repeated whatever I had said, she would earlier still in that voice ask. The child repeats herself. Nana then responds in one of the two ways. The phrase still in that voice implies a fixed perhaps mocking tone. The sentence sets up Nana's two predictable reactions. Again, a performance more than real listening. ये जो कि कुछ Nana pretends to lean so that she could hear and uses a familiar pointed voice to address the child. Again, a performance more than real listening. Next, say what after I have repeated whatever I had said, she would earlier, still in that voice, ask. The child repeats herself, Nana then responds in one of the two ways. The phrase still in that voice implies a fixed, perhaps mocking tone. The sentence sets up Nana's two predictable reactions. Never, never, but never to repeat that, or she would immediately burst out laughing. She would laugh. She would laugh and laugh until tears ran down her cheeks, and she would stop whatever she is doing and wipe away the tears with hanging edges of her cloth. So one reaction is dramatic prohibition. Nana scolds, never, never to repeat that. Uppercase never for emphasis. Mane capitalizes never to emphasis. Never to repeat that. The other is immediate laughter. So it is a kind of, the reaction is a dramatic prohibition. In one hand, never and that has been capitalized just to show, that's just to emphasize how badly she asks the child not to say that, how badly she rebukes the child. On the other hand, the immediate laughter, either reaction silences the child. The repetition of never is heavy handed and theatrical. And then she keeps on laughing that tears would run down her cheeks. Describes how Nana laughs to excess, laughter to tears, and uses physical gestures, wiping tears on cloth. The repetition laugh and laugh emphasizes the intensity and mockery. The repetition laugh and laugh emphasizes the intensity and mockery. The tears with the hanging edges of her cloth, and she would continue laughing until she is completely tired. Nana's laughter is so prolonged she becomes exhausted. The hanging edges of her cloth evokes textile household imagery and shows a rural domestic setting. The কি বলছে, Nana's laughter is so prolonged that she becomes exhausted. The hanging edges of her cloth so it is not required, এত দরকার নেই যে prolong, she becomes exhausted, tears come down to run down her cheeks, repeats the child's voice. Then what Nana does, she repeats the child's voice, or she would laugh and laugh until tears and she would continue laughing until she's completely tired. But then, as soon as another person passes by, just to make sure she doesn't forget whatever it was I had said, she would repeat it to her. Means Nana immediately repeats the child's words to others, apparently to perceive the joke. So this is how she undercuts the value of the child's thought. Whatever shows dismissal. She dismisses, she undercuts the value of the child's thought. Undercuts. Then what she does? Repeats the child's words to others, apparently preserve the joke. Whatever it was I had said undercuts the value of the child's thought, and she shows dismissal to whatever the child things, dismissal to the child's thoughts and ideas. She would repeat it to her, and then, of course, there would be two old people laughing and screaming. The repeated sharing causes other elders to join. Two old people laughing and even screaming with mirth, it becomes communal mockery. Tahale, the soft feelings, the soft sensitivity of a child, the soft feelings of a child becomes a matter of communal mockery. People start screaming with mirth. They burst out laughing, and the child's psychology is being, it becomes a matter of, she is made, the child is made a butt of ridicule. The child's thoughts become a matter of communal mockery. The show grows with more adults joining. The narrator calls it a show. She sees it as a performance, not genuine response. So it becomes a performance, not genuine response to the feelings that she shares with her grandmother. The imagery of tears running down their faces mirrors earlier laughter to tears. She repeats the idea of adult as tear-faced grown-ups as ironic, slightly childish description that mixes pity and sarcasm. So the laughter is a mixture of pity and sarcasm. She questions the disproportionate reaction to her words, inappropriate and disproportionate reaction to her words. Now she finds the adults' behavior confusing because they don't explain the rules. One moment she is forbidden to repeat her words, other time her words are broadcast with laughter. কতটা contrasting. She finds the adults' behavior confusing because they don't explain the rules. At one moment she is forbidden to repeat her words, other times her words are broadcast with laughter. The lack of instruction leaves her puzzled. While at the other time, some other things I would not only be alright but would be considered so funny. Shows the inconsistency. Sometimes what she says is fine, even celebrated as humorous. This unpredictability makes it impossible for her to know when speaking is safe. So this shows inconsistency. Something what she says is fine and even celebrated as humorous. This unpredictability makes it impossible for her know when speaking is safe. When speaking is commendable, safe na লিখে এটা লিখতে হবে commendable. Her words would be repeated so many times for so many people's enjoyment. So her remarks can become a matter of amusement for many people. The narrator points out that neither being silenced nor being laughed at helps her. Both discourage her honest expression. কি বলছে? Her remarks can become an amusement for many people. The narrator points out that neither being silenced nor being laughed at helps us. Silenced করে ওর লাভ নেই, আবার এত হেসে ওর কথায় লাভ নেই. Both discourage her honest expression. Next, she concludes the thought with a direct question, probably rhetorical, explaining how the adult's reaction prevent her from speaking up frequently. যে কিভাবে adultদের reaction forbids her from speaking frequently. Like all this business to do with my legs, I have always wanted to tell them not to worry. I mean Nana and my So begins a new specific example, her legs, which is central worry introduced earlier. She wants to reassure Nana and others but feels unable to. The line ends mid sentence on your page. That but we see the child preparing to discuss her problems. এবার coming to the next paragraph. Like all this business to do with my legs, I've always wanted to tell them not to worry. I mean, Nana and my mother. I did not have to be an issue. It did not have to be an issue for my two favorite people to fight over. I didn't want to be told not to repeat it or for it to be considered so funny that anyone would laugh at me until they cried. After all, they were my legs. When I think back on it now, these two, Nana and my mother, must have been discussing my legs from the day I was born. What I am sure of it is that when I came out of the land of sweat, soft silence into the world of noise, the first topic I met was my legs. That discussion was repeated very regularly. So now she is coming to another problem. The narrator reflects in hindsight. হাইন্ডসাইট কথাটার মানে হচ্ছে পশ্চাৎ দৃষ্টি, মানে ঘটনা ঘটে যাওয়ার পর তার বোধগম্যতা, ঘটনার পর বুদ্ধির উন্মেষ, মানে একটা কিছু অলরেডি ঘটে গেছে, পরে সেটা নিয়ে বোঝা যাচ্ছে। The narrator reflects in hindsight. She believes Nana and Mami have been criticizing her about her legs. Nana has been criticizing about her legs since her birth. She shows how how central the issue of her body is there in family talk, how important. Land of sweet soft silence mane womb. When I am sure of this, that when I came out of the land of sweet, soft silence, very, very important. Wombটাকে বলছে land of sweet, soft silence into the world of noise. বলে না, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. So when she was there in her mother's womb, it was a place of sweet, soft silence, sweet, soft silence. When she came out from that womb, she fell upon the thorns of life. She heard she stepped out from that land of silence and she was kept in a place of noise, a world of noise. The first topic I met was my legs. Poetic imagery, land of sweet soft silence, money the womb. When born into the noisy world, the first subject she encountered was adults worrying about her legs. Suggests her identity is shaped early by judgment. Next, that discussion was repeated very regularly. The issue of her legs was not one time but constant, a regular source of criticism. Nana addresses her daughter Kaya. Kaya ke na mamir naam. She thanks God that the child is female but immediately criticizes her legs, doubting their doubting her doubting their adequacy. This shows you know Kaya. Means shows disapproval and doubt. And Nana would shake her head, reinforces Nana's disapproval about the child's physical shape, child's legs. Mami defends Adjoa. She questions why Nana always complains about the legs. Shows how Mami tries to stand up for her daughter. She tries to stand by her daughter through thick and through thin. So Mami tries to stand by her daughter through thick and thin. Nana dismisses Mami sharply, refusing her opinion. Nana insists that the problem is thinness of Adjoa's leg shows Nana's authority and harshness. Nana uses different tones of voice. One of them silences others completely, symbolizing her dominance in the household. Nana uses different tones of voice. One of them silences others completely, symbolizing her dominance in the household. Mami. Now, Nana, what she says. You know, Kaya, I thank my God that your very child is female. But Kaya, I'm not sure about legs. Hmm, hmm, hmm. And Nana would shake her head. Mommy, now Mommy, what she says, Mother, why are you always complaining about Adjoa's legs? If you ask me, Nana, and if you ask me, she stops. Nana says, they are too thin. And I'm not asking you. So Nana silences them, silences her mother by interrupting while she is speaking. Nana has many voices. There is a special one she uses to shut up everyone. This shows her authority, her dominance in the household. Some people have no legs at all. My mother would try again with all her small courage. But Adjua has legs, Nana would insist, except that they are too thin and also too long for a woman. Kaya listen once in a while, but only once in a very long while. Somebody decides nature, a child, spirit mother, an ancient happens. And somebody gets born without arms or legs or both set of limbs, and then let me touch wood, it is a sad business. And you know, such things are not for talking about every day. But if any female child decides to come into this world with legs, then they might as well be legs. Now, Mommy timidly but caringly she argues back that some of the people are born without legs also. So what's the use of talking so much, creating so much fuss about the thin, long legs of her child? Those, so they should be grateful that Adjua has legs. Shows her attempt to shift perspective. Small courage highlights Mommy's weaker position in the household as compared to Nana. But Adjua has legs, Nana would insist, except that they are too thin and blah blah blah. And also too long for a woman. Kaya, listen. Once in a while, but only once in a very long while, somebody decides nature, a child, spirit mother, an accident happens, and then she talks that some children are born without limbs and all. Nana continues, yet Adjoa has legs, but criticizing again too thin, too long. This remark reflects cultural ideas about a female's body. Short, strong legs are preferred for women. So once in a while, but only once in a very long while, somebody decides nature as child, spirit mother, an accident happens and somebody gets born without arms or legs or both set of limbs, and then Let me touch wood, it is a sad business. Nana explains exceptional cases where children are born without legs. Touch wood means superstition against bad luck. She acknowledges such cases are tragic but then uses this reasoning to compare Adjoa's case. She acknowledges such cases are tragic but then uses this reasoning to compare Adjoa's case. Nana's conclusion. If a girl is, and you know, such things are not for talking about every day, but if a female child decides to come into this world with legs, then they might be might as well be legs. So Nana's conclusion, if a girl is born with legs, they should be proper useful legs. Thin long legs are considered to be defective. What kind of legs? And always at that point I knew from her voice that my mother was weeping inside. So Adjua hears her mother's pain in her voice, her helplessness. She can make out, she can perceive, Adjua can perceive the helplessness of her mother. Mommy hides her emotions about but Adjua senses she suffers silently at the constant criticism. Nana never heard such inside weeping, so Nana can't perceive the inside weeping of Adjua's mother. Not that it would have stopped Nana even if she had heard it. So, this line portrays the insensitivity and of Nana, the unwillingness to notice emotional pain. Even if she had, she wouldn't stop criticizing. So, this harsh reality has already been perceived by a 7-year-old child. Next, which always surprised me because about everything else apart from my legs, Nana is such good in any case, what I would but grow good grown ups. Now, this shows how considerate the child is. Let's go through the text once more. How could Nana be a good grown up when she carried on so about my legs? Nana, এই প্যারাগ্রাফটা what kind of legs? And always at that point, I knew from her voice that my mother was weeping inside. Nana never heard such weeping. Not that it would have stopped Nana even if she had heard it. Which always surprised me because about almost everything else apart from my legs, Nana is such a good in any case. What would I know about good grown-ups and bad grown-ups? What do I know about good grown-ups and bad grown-ups? So বলছে যে এগুলো ছাড়া না এমন কিছু খারাপ না. So this shows her considerate nature. Then she expresses that she doesn't know the difference between a good grown-up and a bad grown-up. How could Nana be a good grown-up when she carried on so about my legs? Now she has this confusion also in her mind that how can Nana be a good grown up when she criticizes so much about a child's legs? All I want to say is that I really liked Nana except for that. Then what she says, let's see. Adjoa is conflicted. Apart from the issue of her legs, Adjoa is conflicted but confused. Apart from the issue of her legs, Nana is good. She considers Nana to be good, but she questions her own judgment. What does she know about good grown-ups? She is only a child, uncertain about how to evaluate adults. How could Nana be a good grown up when she carried on so much about her legs? Now, Adjoa questions if Nana can be truly good. When she constantly criticizes her legs, then uh, Adjoa is in Adjoa is in dilemma whether Nana is truly good. Can she be good? When she continuously criticizes about her legs, shows her confusion and how badly she is being hurt. This confusion shows how badly the child is being hurt emotionally. So all I want to say is that I really liked Nana except for that. Mane, despite the criticism, Adjoa still loves Nana, showing her forgiving nature. Next, now coming back to the text, Nana, as I keep saying, if any woman decides to come to this world with her two legs, then she should select legs that have meat on them with good calves because you are sure such legs would support solid hips. And a woman must have solid hips to be able to have children. First, she was talking about legs. Now, how the leg should be, এইটা মুখস্থ কিন্তু করতে হবে, legs must have meat on them with good calves, 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 because such legs would support solid hips, and a woman must have solid hips to have to be able to have children. তাহলে ভাষাটা কি? First, how according to Nana, এটা কিন্তু একটা sure short question. According to Nana, how the legs should be of a woman? Legs should have meat on them, number one. Number two, with good calves. Legs should have meat on them with good calves. Then such legs would support solid hips. তাহলে কি? Legs should have meat on them with good calves. Such legs would support solid hips, and a woman must have solid hips to be able to have children. There's 3 points. Legs should have meat on them with solid calves, number one. Number two, such legs should support solid hips. Number three, woman must have solid hips to be able to have children. Oh, mother, that's how my mother would answer. Very, very quietly, and the discussion would end or they would move on to something else. Now, despite the criticism, Adjoa still loves Nana, showing her forgiving nature. Then again, Nana explains her reasoning. A woman needs strong, fleshy legs, solid hips for childbearing. Thin legs mean weak hips. Weak hips mean difficulty having children. This reflects traditional beliefs. This reflects traditional beliefs that judge women's bodies based on only fertility. Next, oh mother, that's how my mother would answer. Mommy responds quietly, respectfully, without fighting. Her submissiveness shows her limited power before Nana. So, her mother is submissive, whereas Nana is authoritative. Her mother, mommy, has some emotional or soft emotional pain for her child, sensitivity for her child, but Nana lacks sensitivity in most of the cases. Nana is the uh, is a dominating figure in the family, most dominating, authoritative person in the family, an authoritative figure in the family. Mommy is not. Next, very, very quietly, and the decision would end or they would move on to something else. Confirms that mommy speaks softly, ending the argument instead of prolonging it. Conflicts are being suppressed. Mommy speaks softly, ending the argument instead of prolonging it. Conflicts are suppressed. Next, sometimes Nana would pull in something about my father. Nana often brings the father into the argument, blaming him indirectly for Adjoa's legs. Now, sometimes Nana would pull in something about my father. Nana often brings father into the argument, blaming him indirectly for Adjoa's legs. Now, moving on to the next paragraph. How looking at such a man, now sometimes Nana would pull in something about my father. How looking at such a man, we have to be humble and admit that after all, God's children are many. How, after one's only daughter had insisted on marrying a man like that, you still have to thank your God that the biggest problem you got later was having a granddaughter with spindly legs that are too long for a woman and too thin to be of any use. That the way she always added that bit about my father under her breath, she probably thought I didn't hear it, but I always heard it. Plus, that is what always shut my mother up for good, so that even I had not actually heard the words. If I had not actually heard the words, once my mother looked like even her little courage was finished, I would always guess what Nana had added to the argument. Lakes have meat on them with good calves to support solid hips to be able to have children. এইবার এটার মানে কি বলছে নানা implies Adjoa's father is weak or unimpressive. এই যে looking at such a man we have to be humble and admit that after all God's children are many. মানে নানা implies Adjoa's father is weak and unimpressive. She humbly blames God for making many kinds of people but with hidden insult. Nana criticizes Mommy's choice of husband, Mane Adjoa's father. She says the consequence is Adjoa's spindly, Mane very thin legs, implying physical traits came from him. Harsh judgment of both husband and child. Nana mutters this criticism. Mutters মানে বিড়বিড় বিড়বিড় করে বলে. Nana mutters this criticism mutters, thinking Adjoa doesn't notice. But the child does notice, which makes the heart deeper. দুঃখটা আরো গভীর হয়ে ওঠে. Makes the heart deeper. Hurt heart. Nana's reference to the father silences mommy completely. Even if Adjoa didn't hear it, she could tell from her mother's defeated look that Nana had insulted her father again. Nana's reference to the father silences Mommy completely. Even if Adjoa didn't hear it, she could tell from her mother's defeated look that Nana had insulted her father again. যে না যদিও কখনো কখনো শুনতে পেত না, if Adjoa didn't hear it also, still from seeing the defeated look of her mother she could make out that her husband বা Nana had insulted Adjoa's father or mommy's husband again. Seeing the expression, the facial expression of her mother also she could make out. Nana's legs that have meat on them with good calves to support solid hips to be able to have children. Repeats Nana's belief strong fleshy legs and hips are necessary for motherhood. Again, Adjoa is reduced to her reproductive, mane questioning the child's reproductive capability. এইবার coming to the text again, moving on to the text, the next paragraph. So I wished that one day I would see, এবার ও ভাবছে যে আমি একদিন তাহলে বাকিদের পা দেখবো. I would see for myself the legs of a woman which had had children, but in our village that is not easy. The older women wear long wraps around all the time. এটাও কিন্তু একটা মুখস্থ করার জিনিস, এখান থেকেও কোয়েশ্চেন হতে পারে যে কেন ও কারোর পা দেখতে পেত না, বিকজ ইন দেয়ার ভিলেজ ইট ওয়াজ নট ইজি. Why? The older women wear long wraps around them. Number one, OLDER, older women wear long wraps. WRAP, wrap around all the time. Perhaps if they let me go bathe in the river in the evening, money, they don't allow the child to go to have a bath in the river in the evening. Had she been allowed, had Adjoa been allowed to go for a bath in the river in the evening, then she could have checked the legs of the older women. But because she is not allowed to go to the river for a bath, she could never get a chance to see the legs of the older women. So I had never that at the chance I took a lot of begging. Money she begged a lot just to get my mother and nanny to let me go splash around in the shallow end of river with my friends. She wanted to get the permission to let her go to splash around in the shallow end of the river with her friends, but she was never allowed to go there. Who were other little girls like me? For proper baths, they used small bathhouse behind their hut. কোথায় ওরা চান করতো? Small bath house behind their hut. Therefore, the only naked female legs I have ever seen are those of other little girls like me or older girls in school. So she got the chance only to see the naked legs of the girls of either of her own age or are little older girls of her school. So she never got the chance to see the legs of the adult women. Therefore, the only naked female legs I have ever seen in those are seen are those of other little girls like me or older girls in the school, and those of my mother and Nana. Two pairs of legs which must surely belong to the approved kind. Mane, most probably her mother and Nana's legs were two pairs of legs which must be surely of the approved kind, because Nana gave birth to my mother and my mother gave birth to me. So, because Nana gave birth to her mother and her mother gave birth to Adjoa, means the legs which Nana and her mother had must be of the approved kind. In my eyes, all my friends have got legs that look like legs, but whether the legs have got meat on them or not, that I don't know. According to the older boys and girls, the distance between এইবারও অন্য দিকে কিন্তু চলে যাচ্ছে, এখানে legs এর ব্যাপার শেষ হয়ে গিয়ে। এই যে older women, Adjoa is curious whether her Nana is right about women's legs needing meat for childbirth. She wishes to check check by herself, but in her village this is difficult. Why? Because older women covered their legs, making it impossible to observe. If she were allowed to bathe in the river with them, she could compare it. She wasn't allowed freedom easily. Even small joys like splashing in shallow water required much pleading, shows Nana's strictness and control and authoritative nature. Their bathing customs were private in a hut, not in public rivers. She had no experience comparing women's legs, only those of her age mates and schoolgirls. Reasons: Nana and Mami must have approved legs since they successfully bore children. Because Nana and her mother both successfully bore children, that's the reason why their legs must be approved legs of the kind which they were looking for, which they was expected. To add, Joa, legs are not just legs. She cannot judge them by Nana's strange standard of meat and fertility. To add, Joa, legs are just legs. She cannot judge them by Nana's strange standard of meat and fertility. According to the now, she is coming to another point. Another episode will we will see another side of this story from here. This is the text. Coming back to the text, according to the older boys and girls, the distance between our little village and the small town is about 5 kilometers. I don't know what 5 kilometers mean. They always complain about how long it is to walk to school and back. But to me, we live in our village, and walking those kilometers didn't matter. School is nice. School is another thing Nana and my mother discussed often and appeared to have different ideas about. Nana thought it would be a wastage of time. I never understood what she meant. My mother seemed to know and disagreed. She kept telling Nana that she, that is my mother, felt she had locked into some kind of darkness because she didn't go to school. So that if I were her daughter could learn to read and write my own name and a little besides, perhaps be able to calculate some things on paper, that would be good. I could always marry later and maybe. And Nana would just laugh. Ah, maybe with legs like hers, she might as well go to school. এবারে ও বলছে, the narrator shifts to talk about distances. School children measure the distance to town as 5 kilometers. এই যে বলছে between our village and the small town is 5 kilometers, means the small town has the school and the distance between their village and the town where the school is situated is 5 kilometers, and they always complain about how long it is to walk to school and back. 5 kilometers going and coming back. But she never mind going to walking those kilometers. It didn't matter to her much. School for her was nice. It was a kind of blessing in her life. Now again here they are having conflict, her mother and mommy. Mommy wants her daughter to be sent to school so that she could read and write, whereas Nana uh, personal belief was that it was of no use. It was simply wastage of time to send children to school. As a child, she doesn't understand measurements like kilometers. For her, walking is normal and not a big complaint. Conflict extend beyond legs. Now the conflict here we will find extends beyond legs. Nana and Mami also clash about the value of education. Adjoa doesn't understand Nana's objection to school. Mami, however, does and disagrees with Nana. Mami believes her life is limited because she had no education. She wants better for her daughter. Mami sees education as a way to improve her daughter's future, even if only to read, write, and calculate. Mami sees education as a way to improve her daughter's future, only even if only to write, read, and calculate. She hints that education might open other options beyond marriage. Nana mocks. Since Adjoa's legs are unsuitable for childbearing, she might as well study. Bitter sarcasm. এই কথাটা কিন্তু খুব মারাত্মক। নানা হেসে বলল, ah, maybe with legs like hers, she might as well go to school. এটার মানে এটাই যে Mana mocks since Adjua's legs are unsuitable for childbearing, she might only have to study and go to the school. Means she might not have any option left other than studying and going to school. This is bitter sarcasm. Running এটা এর পরের পরের স্ট্যান্সা শুরু হচ্ছে, কামিং অন মুভিং অন টু দ্য নেক্সট স্ট্যান্সা. Running with our classmates on our small field and winning first place each time never seemed to me to be anything about which to tell anyone at home. যে কি বলছে, রানিং running with her classmates in the small field and winning first place every time never seemed to her as if it would be a matter to share with anybody, a matter worth sharing. This time it was different. I don't know how the teachers decided to let me run for the junior section of our school in the district games. Run for the junior section of our school, junior section of their school in district games. But they did. When I went home to tell my mother and Nana, they had not believed it at first. So Nana had taken it upon herself to go and ask into it properly. She came home to tell my mother that it was really true. I was one of my school's runners. Is that so? Exclaimed my mother. I know her. Her mouth had moved as though she was going to tell Nana that, after all, there was a secret about me she couldn't be expressed to share with anybody. But then Nana herself looked so pleased. Out of surprise, my mother shut her mouth up. In any case, since they heard the news, I have often caught Nana staring at my legs with a strange look on her face, but still pretending like she was not looking. All this week, this is the description. এখানে আরেকটা question হতে পারে. All the week, she had been washing her school uniform herself. That was a big surprise. She didn't stop at that. She even went to Mr. Mensha's house, Menshah, Mensha, Mensha's house, and borrowed the charcoal pressing iron. Each time she came back home with it and ironed and ironed and ironed the uniform until, if I had been in uniform, I would have said aloud that I had had enough. তাহলে কি বলছে, মামি বিলিভস হার লাইফ, আচ্ছা রানিং উইথ দ্য ক্লাসমেটস এবার. Adjoa enjoys running and excels, but she doesn't think it is worth sharing at home. For the first time, her talent is recognized. She is chosen to represent the school in district athletics. She is chosen to represent the school in district athletics. When I went home to tell my mother and Nana, they had not believed it at first. Her family doubts the news at first. Nana, being skeptical, goes to verify. She confirms Adjoa is indeed a school runner. Mummy reacts with surprise and pride. She looks as if she wants to tell Nana, see, there is something special about my daughter. Mummy keeps quiet because even Nana, usually critical, looks genuinely pleased. Nana begins to see Adjoa's legs differently, though she hides it. She now admires them for running. Nana shows approval by doing something unexpected, washing the uniform, a sign of pride and acceptance. She imagines that Nana saw her shining uniform at the sports parade and felt proud. She imagines Nana saw her shiny uniform at the sports parade and felt proud. Nana attends all the sports events. Nana dresses carefully each day to attend, choosing her best clothes. Even though Nana attends, she pretends not to be the part of the excitement. She walks behind as if detached, but Adjoa knows it is her pride. Ajo. Wearing my school uniform this week, আর এইটা এই যে বলছে না হিউমারাস exaggeration যে যদি each time she came back home with it and ironed and ironed and ironed the uniform still. If I had been the uniform, I would have said aloud that I had enough. Money, a humorous exaggeration that Nana irons so much it feels excessive, but it shows her pride and excitement. Next, coming back to the text. Wearing my school uniform this week had been very nice. At the parade on the first afternoon, its sheen caught the rays of the sun. Its sheen. Sheen মানে হচ্ছে its sheen caught the rays of the sun. Sheen SHEEN মানে its sheen মানে ইউনিফর্মটা sheen সফট স্মুদিং উইথ শাইনি কোয়ালিটি এত সুন্দর করে কেচেছিল ইউনিফর্মটা যে চিন কট দ্য রেজ অফ দ্য সান অ্যান্ড শোন ব্রাইটার দেন এনিওয়ান এলসেস ইউনিফর্ম I am sure Nana saw it too and must have liked it. Yes, she had been coming into town with us every afternoon of this district sports week. ওটা একটা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট স্পোর্টস উইক ছিল প্রত্যেক আফটারনুনে এসে আসতো এবার ও কিভাবে রেডি হয়ে আসতো এটাও একটা কোয়েশ্চেন এভরি আফটারনুন নানা পুলড আউট ওয়ান সেট অফ ফ্রেশ ওল্ড ক্লোথস ফ্রম দ্য বিগ ব্রাশ বোল টু ওয়্যার প্রত্যেক আফটারনুনে নানা পুলড আউট ওয়ান সেট অফ ফ্রেশ ওল্ড ক্লোথস ফ্রম দ্য বিগ ব্রাশ বোল টু ওয়্যার and those old clothes were always so stiffly starched that the we anybody could hear the cloth creak, but she walks way behind us school children as though she was on her own way to some place. One reason is she was trying to show that she did not একদিকে in one hand she pretends to show that she was not a part of the excitement একদিকে এটা দেখাতে চায় আরেকদিকে it is somewhere a little awkward also to walk with the children being a grandmother isn't it that's why she used to maintain distance so what is two reason first reason is she wanted to show as if she was detached she used to pretend not to be a part of this excitement on the other hand this was also true that it would be a little awkward to walk with the children together, and that's why she used to maintain a little distance. Now, the narrator, but she walks behind the school children as well. Yes, I have won every race I ran for my school. I have won the cup for the best all-round junior athlete. এটা ভীষণ ভীষণ একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট কথা she had won the cup for the best all round junior athlete. Yes, Nana said that she didn't care if such things are not done. She would do it. You know what she did? She carried the gleaming cup on her back like they do with babies, and this time not taking the trouble to walk by herself. When we arrived in a village, she entered our compound. এটাও একটা মুখস্থ করার জিনিস she carried the gleaming she মানে Adjoa had won the cup for the best all-round junior athlete. And what Nana did? Nana carried the gleaming cup on her back like they do with the babies. When they arrived at the village, She entered the compound to show the cup to mommy before going to give it to the headmaster. Oh, grown-ups are so strange. Nana is right now carrying me on her knee and crying softly, muttering that Sa thin legs can also be useful. That even though some legs don't have much meat on them, they can run. Thin legs can run. Then who knows? Who knows, money? Maybe you can bear children also. I don't know so much about such things. But that's how I was feeling and thinking all along. That surely one should be able to do other things with legs as well as have them because they can support hips that make babies. Except that I was afraid of saying that sort of thing aloud. Means she didn't dare to say that aloud, but she knew it at her heart because someone would have told me never, never, but never to repeat such words. Or else they would have laughed so much at what I would say, they would have cried. It's much better this. It's much better this way to have acted it out to show them already I could not have planned it. Kibollo, the narrator, proudly says that they have always won at the races they ran for their school. She ran for the she won the big trophy for being the best young athlete in all sports. Nana says she doesn't care much about winning trophies, but for her, babies are more important than sports achievements. When Nana carried the trophy home, she didn't walk proudly showing it. Instead, she carried it on her back, the way women in villages usually carry babies. This shows her love for the trophy. When they reached their home, Nana went straight to their house to show the cup to the narrator's mother before returning it to the school headmaster. The narrator feels that the adults don't understand the joy, pride, and excitement of winning at a young age. Oh, what about the use of thin legs? Thin legs can't support you. So at that moment, Nana is emotional. She holds the narrator on her lap and cries quietly that thin legs are useless because they cannot grow into strong hips needed for childbirth. The narrator admits they won't fully understand adult worries about body strength or childbirth, but still those words stayed in their mind, making them feel thoughtful. The narrator argues in their thoughts legs should not be valued only for making babies. They can do so many things like running. Except that I was afraid saying that sort of thing aloud. The narrator feels scared to openly disgrace with Nana's traditional thinking, to openly disagree, sorry, to openly feel scared to openly disagree with Nana's traditional thinking. The narrator believes that if they had spoken up, others would have laughed at. If she would have spoken up, others would have laughed at her so hard that it might make them cry. Or worse, elders may scold the narrator harshly, telling her never to speak such rebellious or unconventional thoughts again. When she gets scared of uttering such rebellious or unconventional uttering such rebellious thoughts or sharing such unconventional thoughts again. The narrator concludes that instead of speaking against adults, better to prove their point by actions, like winning races and showing that legs are useful for more than just childbirth. They had not planned this, but their success has become a silent answer. Now, questions. Describe the setting of the story, name the story and the author. Story name The Girl Who Can, author Amma Ata Aidu. Setting Hassortzi, a large village in the central region of Ghana, located in a very fertile lowland known for its good soil when there is no drought in Africa. Okay, known for its good soil. Describe the autobiographical element in the story. The narrator Adjoa tells the story in the first person, speaking from her own childhood perspective. Her voice reflects Adjoa tells the story in the first person, speaking from her own childhood's perspective. Her voice reflects personal feelings, family relationships, and shows she sees her surroundings, especially her grandmother Nana and her mother's views about her legs. Next question. What does the narrator say was special about her village? Hasorts is a fertile lowland with good soil, which makes it special and productive for farming. What does Nana say when Adjoa does not finish her food? Why? Because it is a fertile land like theirs, wasting food is ungrateful. It is an ungrateful. They consider it to be an ungrateful act to waste food. Because the nature is benevolent towards them, and they believe that human beings also should show benevolence towards nature by not thankful. They should be thankful to nature by not wasting the food. Next question. As far as I could see, there was only one problem. Who is I here? I is the Adjoa, the narrator here. A 7-year-old girl. Whom did she live with? Her mother and her grandmother. Her mother, Mami, and her grandmother, Nana. What did she address them as? Mami and Nana. Problem, she talks about her legs are very thin. She becomes self-conscious and avoids asking too many questions about it. She feels judged and sometimes hesitant to speak her mind. Are such problems common for children? Yes, many children face being teased or criticized about their physical appearance, which affects confidence. Many children face teasing and criticism about physical appearance, which affects confidence. Next, first I have to struggle to catch her attention. Whose attention? Nana's. Why a struggle? Nana is often busy with work and doesn't focus immediately on Adjoa. And she বললো না যে প্রবলেম কি কি ও বলছে. The narrator gives her age. It is a problem. See, she is only 7 years old. She states that at this age she has a specific problem linking childhood's perspective with adult perspectives. She admits that she has thoughts but perhaps lacks words to express them. আর কেন ওকে স্ট্রাগল করতে হয় নানাজ অ্যাটেনশন পাওয়ার জন্য? তার কারণ আর আরেকটা ওর কি প্রবলেম আছে, শি হ্যাজ ডিলেমা। আর কি কি সিরিয়াস প্রবলেম আছে না, her remarks are often dismissed by adults, reinforcing her isolation and seriousness of her problem. And adults, she also feels that adults have the habit of showing authority, and so the children's voice is always ignored. Important remarks are being dismissed by adults, reinforcing her isolation and seriousness to the problem. These are the problems she expresses. তাহলে কি কি প্রবলেম ও বললো? প্রথমে ও বললো she states that at this age she has a specific problem. কি problem? She admits that she has thoughts, things that things I can think in my head. ব্র্যাকেটে লিখেছে, মানে she admits that she has thoughts but she lacks words to express them. This clearly emphasizes the internal thought and external expression, the difference between the internal thought and the problem of the external expression. Next, this an inability to express her opinion is a very serious problem. Why serious? Because it affects self expression and clarity. And she expresses that remains in constant dilemma whether to remain silent or to speak out. Whether she always remains in a dilemma whether she should express her feelings or she should refrain from doing so. আরেকটা ওর কি problem? The choice is being silenced because she feels the risk of being ridiculed, the fear of being laughed at is deterrent to speaking. So this is also another problem. The fear of being laughed at is deterrent to her speaking, deterrent to speaking, but deterrent to her self expression. And always, even her important remarks are being dismissed by the adults, reinforcing her isolation and seriousness of her problem. এবার নানার কাছ থেকে অ্যাটেনশন পাওয়া কেন কঠিন? Because the narrator sets up the predictable adult response of Nana. What Nana does, she displays her exaggerated attention by making the mouth wide open whenever Adjoa speaks, a theatrical expression that may not be sincere. Then Nana would stare at her for a very long time, then bending and turning her head slightly. Nana would stare at her for a very long time. She would make her mouth wide open, stare at Adjoa for a very long time, then bending and turning her head slightly, she would say, Adjoa, you say what? Then she would say, never, never, but never to repeat that. এই একটা but never to repeat that. এই neverটা আর thatটা ক্যাপিটালে. But the capitalization accentuates the over the top nature of her response. Nana's reaction becomes physical spectacle, long stare, then movement that dramatizes her behavior, but the capitalization very accentuates the over the top nature of her expression. Nana pretends to lean in so that she could hear Adjoa's words and uses familiar pointed voice to address the child. Again, a performance more than real listening. A spectacular performance rather than real listening. A dramatic, spectacular performance. So that is why it's difficult to get Nana's attention. Next question. What does the narrator say was special about her village? Asorzi was a fertile lowland with good soil which makes it special and productive for farming. What does Nana say when Adjoa does not finish her food? You Adjoa, you don't know what life is about because it is a fertile land and nature is benevolent towards them. There is no dearth of food grains in Ghana. So the nature is bounteous and uh, good towards them, considerate towards them. So the people should not, it is a superstitious belief that, it is their strong belief that they too should not show any disrespect, but they should respect to nature by not wasting the food by being grateful to nature. As far as I could see, there was only one problem, so I have discussed about the problems. She feels judged and sometimes hesitant to speak her mind. When I speak out, feels judged and sometimes hesitant to speak about her mind. But start to struggle to catch her attention. Whose attention? Nana's. Response after the struggle. Nana stops whatever she does and stares intently at Adjoa. Two reactions: staring at her for a long time, listening silently before responding. If a third person joined them, Nana would behave as if they were in a performance, putting on a show of authority or dismissiveness. Nana would behave as if they were in a performance, putting on a show of authority or dismissiveness. At Joa's performance, this exaggerated seriousness Nana shows when addressing her. Why was this correct with a child? Not really. It can make a child feel intimidated and reluctant to speak freely. এত ওভার ডু করলে কি হয়, ওভার দ্য টপ এক্সপ্রেশন হলে it can make a child intimidated and reluctant to speak freely. Like all this business to do with my legs. What discouraged Adjoa? Every time she spoke about her legs, Nana and Mommy fought over it, making her uncomfortable. Our favorite people, KK, Nana and Mommy, their main subject to fight Adjoa's thin legs and whether it was a problem or not. What was Adjoa sure of? That her legs were her own and she was fine with them. What was Nala always complaining to her daughter about? That mommy wasn't feeding Adjoa enough to. Huh? Did mommy accept the blame? No, she defended Adjoa. What does this highlight? Nana is traditional and critical. Mommy is gentle, defensive, and more accepting. Gentle, defensive, accepting, subservient. How many people have no legs at all? Why this argument? To remind Nana that having legs, even thin ones, is still a blessing compared to those without legs. Nana believes that thin legs mean weak hips which are unsuitable for childbirth. Women are unable to bear children because of weak hips. Sad business Nana talks about. Ki na women unable to bear children because of weak hips. Point to mommy. Mane mommy ki bolche? A girl must have strong legs. Mommy kyo ki bolche? Strong legs and hips to be considered fit for motherhood. What should a female child decide after birth? Nana says she should select legs with meat, a metaphor for being born with strong legs. What could the narrator hear that Nana could not? The quiet tension or unspoken emotions of her mother's voice while defending her own child. But Nana failed to hear that because Nana lacked sensitivity. All I want to say is that I really liked Nana, except for that. Nana's constant criticism of her legs. Legs with meat are important for childbearing. Mommy would quietly end it, or the topic would be changed. Sometimes mentions him critically or in passing, hinting at dissatisfaction. That she does not take proper care of Adjoa or feed her well enough. How far justified? Not very. Nana's views are based on traditional beliefs, not actual neglect. What effect does the discussion about Adjoa's father have on the argument between Nana and Mami? It usually diverts the conversation. Whenever Nana brings up Adjoa's father into discussion, Mami grows quiet and their quarrel about Adjoa's legs ends without any conclusion. Next question. Why did Adjoa wish to see the legs of women with children? She wanted to check whether such women really had solid legs Nana considered necessary for childbearing, or it was just a misbelief of Nana. Why was it difficult to fulfill her wish? In her village, women usually covered their legs so she could never easily observe them. The old women wear long wraps around, and that's why she could never see their legs. Whose legs had Adjoa seen? She had only seen her mother's and Nana's legs and the girls of her age. Why does she term her mother's and grandmother's leg as abrupt kind? Their legs ended suddenly in short, solid calves. They, unlike her own thin legs, so she called them abrupt. How far was the school from the village? 5 miles away. How do the children, what do the children complain about? They complained about the long distance they had to walk to school. Does Adjoa also have the same feeling? Why? No, she did not have mind the distance because she was eager to go to the school. How did Nana and Mami contradict each other on the subject of school? Nana thought school was unnecessary for girls and would not help them in life, while Mami wanted Adjoa to be educated. Why did Mami want her daughter to go to school? She believed education would improve her daughter's future and give her opportunities. She never got the opportunity to read and write, so she wanted her daughter to do it. Ejo? Nana, my mother felt she was locked into some kind of darkness. My mother felt means Mami felt that she was locked into some kind of darkness because she did not go to school. So she wanted her daughter to that wanted that her daughter could read and write her own name and little besides be able to calculate some things on paper that would be good. She could always marry later and maybe she could get children. What made Nana agree on Adjoa's going to school? She finally agreed when she realized that the school could provide Adjoa with at least one good. Huh? At least uh, she very Nana says in this way, uh, and maybe with legs like hers, she might as well go to school. So it's a very bitter sarcasm that because her legs were not suitable for bearing children, so it would be at least if she could have go to school for having a career, another option in life. What shows that Adjoa was quite modest about her achievements. She did not boast about her success. She simply went home to tell her family in a straightforward way. What was different and needed to be conveyed at home? She had been selected as one of her school's runners, a new and exciting role. Next question: What new surprise did Adjoa have her parents? They were surprised that she had been chosen despite her thin legs. How did they get assured? Nana went to the teacher to confirm it was true. What was Mami wanting to say to Nana and why didn't she? Mami was about to tell Nana that this proved there was something special about Adjoa, but she stopped herself sensing Nana's feelings. What unusual things was Nana seen doing after Adjoa's selection for the district game? She began acting proudly, telling people in the village about her granddaughter's achievements. না না ওইগুলো সব লিখতে হবে যে she carried the তারপর ওই আয়রন করা ড্রেস ফ্রেস পরে যেত ওইগুলো what was why was it এই যে এই জায়গাটা লিখতে হবে এই যে this এই যে Nana, it was a big surprise. She went to Mr. Benshaw's house and borrowed his charcoal pressing iron. Each time she came back home with it, ironed the uniform until I kept on ironing the uniform. Then every afternoon, yes, she had been coming to the town with the children every afternoon. of the district sports week. Each afternoon, she had pulled out one set of fresh clothes from the big brush bowl to wear, and those old clothes were always so stiffly starched that anybody could hear the cloth creak. But she walked way behind behind the school children, as though she was on her way to some place else. In this way, she behaved differently. Why was it special to the school uniform that week? It seemed to shine more brightly, Ejo. It At the parade on the first afternoon, the uniform sheen caught the rays of the sun and shone brighter than anybody else's uniform. It made Adjoa feel proud and confident. What did Nana do throughout the sports week? She attended every event to watch Adjoa compete. Why does she walk way behind the school children? She liked to watch Adjoa from a distance, enjoying the sight without drawing attention to herself. How did Adjoa perform in the sports week? She ran well and won races, earning admiration. Tejo. Mm, yes, she had won every race she ran for her school. She won the cup for the best all-round junior athlete. Yes, Nana said that she didn't care if such things were not done. She carried the gleaming cup on her back like they do with babies, and this time not taking the trouble to walk by herself. When they arrived at the village, she entered the compound to show the cup to her mother. Before going to give it back to the headmaster. Why does she walk way behind the school children? Like to watch Adjoa from a distance, enjoying the sight without drawing attention to herself. How did Adjoa perform in the sports week? She performed really well and won. Ajo. She had won every race that she ran for her school. She had won the cup for the best all-round junior athlete. How did Nana celebrate Adjoa's victory? She publicly praised Adjoa and seemed to forget her earlier criticism about the legs. Next question. Grown-ups are strong. Why does Adjoa make this comment? Because she notices how adults can change their opinion, carry themselves with pride and authority. She notices how adults can change their opinion and carry them with pride and authority. Adjoa came to believe in one once they say they show authority and makes a child remain mum, keep quiet, and at the same time they over exaggerate by doing over expressive things, by laughing and giggling at what a child would say. Adjoa and they do they both the things very proudly. Adjoa came to believe that thin legs could be useful too. Why didn't she express her belief openly ever? She feared being laughed or dismissed by elders like Nana and Mami. What did Adjoa find much better? She found it much better to prove herself through action rather than words, because actions speak louder than words. What can you say about the way Nana changed at the school? At the end, she became supporting and proud of Adjoa, showing a complete change from her earlier disapproval. Why can the author be termed as feminist? Because she challenges traditional beliefs about women's role and physical appearance, showing that girls can achieve success regardless of their societal expectations, showing that girls can achieve success regardless of societal expectations.